Hello and welcome to another episode of the Floridian Sports Podcast. Today we're going to be doing a week recap of the past week, today being June 28th. The last week had a couple of interesting, really headline stories for most of these Floridian teams throughout the entire state. We had another, state versus state rivalry in the MLS with Inter Miami and Orlando City. In baseball, the Rays are still battling out in the American League East division against the Boston Red Sox for that top spot. They're basically half a game back against them. And then we had a draft lottery. That's right, a draft lottery. Unfortunately, the Miami Heat weren't a part of it this year. They don't actually have any picks this year for 2021, but the Orlando Magic, they got 2 in the first 10. I'm going to go over that very soon and maybe even do a couple of predictions for those picks in a later video. And of course, we still have hockey. Tampa Bay Lightning, they beat out the Islanders Game 7, 1-0 in Tampa. So now we're back in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. Can you believe that? Tampa Bay Lightning are going against the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens haven't won a single Stanley Cup championship since 1996. And believe it or not, they were the last Canadian team to do it. So we're going to go over that and, we're going to keep it up, keep it detailed. And I'm going to go straight into the notes right now. First, I'm going to go straight into the MLS. We're talking about Inter Miami against Orlando City. A really heated rivalry. Last year, Inter Miami did win their game in the rivalry 2-1. Kind of a different story this time. Orlando City goes into Inter Miami on a Friday night. Very packed out house. Blacked out. Everybody just... it was just electric. I think Christian Pulisic was also in the crowd as well. So it just shows you that, Inter Miami is getting that recognition. However, Orlando City still ways beyond where Inter Miami is right now in basic talent. Orlando does win that 2-1. 2 goals from Orlando. Chris Mueller at the 73rd minute. And then, Nani, a beautiful goal. Top of the shelf. Right side of the corner. 79th minute for Nani right there. And then Miami's only goal comes from Gonzalo Higuain, and Gonzalo Higuain, believe it or not, was benched. Phil Neville didn't have Higuain nor Pizarro, both of those guys being highly detailed international superstars. Higuain coming out of Juventus, and then Pizarro actually was, I believe he was with the Mexican team for international duty for the past week. So it was kind of a shock to see them both out as substitutions. However, I still felt like this was actually a really good lineup for Inter Miami. I felt Inter Miami had, how can I say this, chemistry. Chemistry in the best way. Not saying anything negative about both of those guys. However, Pizarro does have a lot of possession with the ball. He doesn't really do much with the ball when he does have that possession. And then Matuidi was just going off of, just I'm the main guy over there. He wasn't put down as captain, but he really was the main guy if you looked at the game most of the time for Inter Miami. If you are a fan for Inter Miami, that must have been Matuidi's best game so far. Great defending. He really does a lot of great tackles opened. And, the game could have been a much bigger deficit than 1-2. But Matuidi did stop a lot of those fast breaks coming out for the Inter Miami Herons. So Orlando City does win that one. They're still second in the East. And it was kind of a poor showing in the first half, especially if you're the second overall in the East in the MLS going against, I believe it's the 11th now, however, but prior 10th in the East in Inter Miami. So a really big scare for Orlando. However, Orlando City, they're neck and neck still with the New England Revolution. So nothing to really worry about, just a hiccup on the road. Plus, it was a really great game for the rivalry because everybody was packed in, sold out crowd. Parking lot was sold out as well. I wouldn't even be surprised right now if you're talking about you see this team next year and it's just going to be same anticipation from the fans and everybody in the MLS as well. So that was a really interesting game. Not as chippy as I thought it would be. However, each team got 3 yellow cards for each team. Shots on goal, we're talking about 3 for Miami, 6 for Orlando. And that's probably the biggest difference between these two teams because overall Miami had 10 total shots. Orlando City had 11, so not a huge difference there. But you're trying to tell me that 6 out of 11 were on goal, and then for Miami, it's like 7 out of 10. You're talking about being precise and being on target, and that's exactly what Orlando City was. Now, pass from MLS, we're going straight into baseball. Of course, the Rays, as I said before, they're neck and neck right now for the Boston Red Sox in the American League East. According to the notes right now, they're 4-6 in the last 10 games so far, 47-32. I can't really say where this team is at right now. Of course, Tampa Bay is a hell of a squad, but I mean, you gotta make sure that you at least expand yourself above your division. That's the only way you really become confident, especially when it comes to October and the whole playoff series. If they do meet up with Boston or whatever these other teams in the American League, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge. However, the next game they have shouldn't be a challenge at all. They're going to be playing at Washington against the Nationals on the 29th. That game's going to be specifically at 7:05 p.m. according to the notes. And also according to the notes, their away record so far, 24-16. 24-16. So not only do they have a good away record, but I'm pretty positive that they'll probably get the job done in Washington in time for them to come back home again. And not even that, their home record 23-16 as well. So that's 2 records home and away that you're above 500. So I expect them to keep it up. Hopefully their last 10 in the next 10 games is going to be 10-0, but I can't really guarantee that. This is baseball, anything can happen. And speaking of which, the Marlins, nothing has really happened for the team. They're still on a losing streak so far. Believe it or not, actually 4-6 in the last 10 games, just like the Rays are, but it's a little bit of a different story. Their overall record is 33-44, and they're 9 games behind the New York Mets. I mean, who would have thought that sentence would even exist if you were like a Marlins fan about like 10 years ago or whatever, you know what I mean? So they're 9 games against the Mets, and then they're 5th overall in the National League East. So they're the bottom of the pile. I don't really see much from this Marlins team so far. They're like 500 at home, 18-18. And then for away, according to the notes, 15-26. That's got to be the worst record for the away side in the sense of the National League East so far in their division. And I mean, they're going against the Phillies at Philadelphia on the 29th as well. And the Phillies, I don't have a lot of hope for the Marlins in that series. And I know for a fact that when they come back home, they're going to go against the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, like the second best team in baseball right now. And Mookie Betts, the star liner and the headline of that game, really. So it's going to be a real challenge for these Marlins. I'm not saying that lose hope on the team. However, just be ready for a bumpy ride if you're a Miami Marlin fan. This is not going to look like a good couple of 2 weeks for this team at all. Now, as I said before, the Orlando Magic, we had an NBA draft. The Magic actually got really lucky. According to those, we have a 5th and 8th overall pick in the first round. And, of course, the second round for the Orlando Magic, we have the 33rd pick overall. Now, I'm going to do a review clip of the lottery draft and kind of do a prediction of what these picks might be and what they mean to the Orlando Magic team later on in the future. So I would suggest to look after that. And then, of course, to finish off, Tampa Bay Lightning 2 times in a row in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Montreal Canadiens. And that's going to be a series that I'm going to be kind of suspicious of how that series is going to go, because I don't know how that's going to go in reality, because I'm thinking to myself, Montreal, 4th best team in the North Division. Tampa Bay, they beat out a lot of these teams who seem like absolute favorites in most of these series. And we're talking about like the Carolina Hurricanes, absolute favorites, the Florida Panthers, absolute favorites. And Tampa Bay just washes them away. And going against the Islanders, that was a really, really close series. A lot of the games, you did see great performances for both goaltenders. However, Game 5, I can't really say that, because in Game 5, Tampa Bay did win that one by 8 goals. That's like the most I've ever seen Tampa Bay make in general throughout my entire lifetime. And the best part about it, Brandon Point got involved in that game and the other games in this series. And he actually had a 9-scoring game streak. He scored 9 straight games, finishing off, I believe, within Game 6, unfortunately. However, he's still going to be a vocal point in this series. And actually, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final for 2021 for the NHL against the Montreal Canadiens is actually today. Today, June 28th, going to be at 8 o'clock tonight. You could probably catch that game on USA TV Network, or even better yet, NBC Sports. So Make sure you watch that game. Tampa Bay, hopefully they repeat a National Hockey League Stanley Cup champion out of the state of Florida. Repeats. That's just crazy to say in a sentence, but hopefully it happens. It'll probably be like, it's the 6th time that an NHL has a team that goes back to the Stanley Cup final. However, I can't really tell you a number of how many times they won back to back. So hopefully that does happen. And I want to thank you again for joining in today. I know I haven't been very, frequent with these videos. I do apologize on that. I've been a little bit busy with school and work and all. However, I'm going to try to make sure I'll be back for Thursday for another video to give you a little update of where we are in the playoff series, as well as, what to look for the weekend. It's a huge weekend for Floridian sports. And hopefully, the Marlins do win some games. So I want to thank you for joining in today and hope to see you guys later.